Welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clemenson, and if you're a recruiter out on your own or just lacking general guidance or mentorship, you've come to the right place. Our episodes are designed to give you the motivation, the advice, and the strategies you need to become the very best lone recruiter. So join us, grab a cup of coffee, let's take your desk to another level. Now, today, I want to give you a list, a top 10 list of LinkedIn people you should be following as a recruiter in 2023. And it's not going to be a list that you think it's going to be. It's actually going to be super, super practical, and you're going to get some real good value out of this. And if you want to really maximize your deals, you want to maximize your interaction with your clients and your candidates, and this list is for you. It's going to take you 4 minutes, but you're going to get something out of it. So let's just jump straight into it. So I've got 10 people I want you to follow. Let's go. The first person or people I want you to follow are every single candidate you work with. If you interview someone, if you email someone, they say, yes, let's talk. If you speak to them, every time a prospective candidate jumps on the phone with you, I want you to link with them on LinkedIn. Obviously, the rationale behind this is if you do place them, you can see where you can track where they're going. You can see when they start a new job. You can start interacting on things when they post and when they like and comment, and then down the line as well. You know, a couple of years time when they're looking at your posts day in, day out, they'll remember you, right? So it kind of works both ways. But if you aren't connecting with the candidates and the people that you speak with, then what are you doing? Right? And don't feel silly about doing it. It's in that moment. Like if I speak to you today and I send you a LinkedIn request that same day, I'm going to go, oh yeah, that person, great. And you're going to connect. It's going to make sense. It fits in with why this person might be connecting, and that's the best time to do it. If you do it in a couple of days' time, they may forget you. I'm sorry. Not everyone's going to remember you. I forget people all the time, and they will forget you. So if you do it on the day, you speak to a candidate, connect. Number one. So number two, the other side. Let's connect with your clients. If you've got great clients, you should be connected with them. If you've got new clients, you should be connecting with them. Again, same rationale. Do it on the same day that you meet your clients, whether it be virtually, on the phone, or even just on email. Connect with them on that day because they will remember you. And the reason, again, you want to do that is that they will see hopefully you're active on LinkedIn. They will see your posts and you will be top of mind when they're looking for a provider and external support for their recruiting activities. And you want it to be you, right? So it's just such an easy one to be connected with. So one, all your candidates that you're speaking with. Two, all your clients. You should be connecting with all of them as well. Three, and here's one you probably haven't thought of, particularly if you're working in a bigger agency. But LinkedIn, your account, if you're on LinkedIn with a recruiter account, you will have a LinkedIn customer success manager. Not the one selling you the products, the one that gives you the tips and tricks to really maximize what you get out of the product. So I connect with mine, and we get everyone here to connect with them because they actually pump out amazing content all the time. It's real, it's relevant, it's right there in terms of new updates or new algorithms or new functionalities. They're usually posting around that. And if you can have first dibs on what that is, that may give you an edge over your competition, because a lot of people don't LinkedIn with their LinkedIn customer success manager. Maybe the people who run the business do, maybe the people who own the accounts do, but every staff member underneath that should be connecting with the customer success manager at LinkedIn. So if you haven't done that, do that. The fourth one, which I find quite interesting, is who is your local rec to rec? Let's just say you're in Sydney. Who is the Sydney rec to rec? Or if you're in London, who are the rec to recs in London that are most prominent? I don't know. That they are the face and the front of the recruitment sector. They're pretty good at giving indications of what markets are pumping, which of your competitors are hiring. If you're following these guys or gals and you see the rec to recs consistently coming up with demands for, I don't know, finance recruiters or a particular skill set in IT, and it keeps coming up, well, then that might give you some great indications of what markets are booming right now, because these agencies are obviously looking to pay to get other recruiters in to fulfill that work. So it's actually a great insight outside of your desk and outside of your agency as to what is happening in the wider recruitment industry. So that's a really interesting one. I can't give you any specific names because you could be listening from anywhere in the world, but just look for your local rec-to-rec person. It might be local to your city or wherever your geography is that you recruit. So I'm Sydney-based, but I would look for Australia-wide just because I'm curious, right? If the East Coast falls apart, maybe the West Coast, has something for me. So that's an interesting one to have on your radar. The obvious one, and if you haven't heard of this person, I don't know even if you're in recruitment, but Greg Savage, he's been around forever and a day. He's still creating amazing content. He's just published a book. You can't go past having him in your network. So connect with him. I know he'll connect back. Comment on his stuff. I know he'll comment back. He's very active. He's been around for 40 odd years doing recruitment, or 30 or 40. I'm sorry, Greg, if I've offended you. And he's still very active on the boards of many agencies. So he's still very much in the game, and he's still very much in touch with the industry. So if you're not connected with Greg Savage, you really should, because every day or two he comes out with a pearl of wisdom that's a great nugget of gold, and it's just a great help along the way. A non-recruiter related person I think is worth following is a guy by the name of Gary Vanderchuck. I think he goes by Gary V on LinkedIn. But look, he's not recruitment related, but he's a very empathetic leader. He's very much a futurist. He really understands tech. He really understands social media, but he has a really strong media brand, and he has a very strong public speaking brand. And the content and the material that he's pumping out is always top notch, very digestible, very quick, very sharp, to the point. I just think he's great to show up in your feed every morning. He's great motivational, good for getting your energy going, sparks some ideas, gives you some momentum. Gary V, get him into, follow him or get him into your feed as soon as you can. Another one in the same vein of Gary would be the TED conferences, and I think they go via TED conferences. And the reason I say this is not going to be recruitment specific, but there is so much information out there now saying that the people who do better in life aren't the ones that go super deep within their lane. They actually have a really broad view and understanding of many variety of information. So the wonderful thing about TED conferences is that they're always tackling the most unique perspectives, and they're very good speakers, and they're usually quite to the point. And I find that digesting a few of those a week really opens up conversations. If you're a recruiter, we are all about conversation. So the more that you can relate to different people in different facets and different ideas or topics, then I think the better that conversation flows, and I think therefore the better the relationship you're going to have with your prospects, and therefore I actually think you may make more placements out of it. It seems long-winded, but there is some science to it. So the broader your knowledge base is, or the tabs of topics that you can touch point on, usually the further you go. So TED conferences I find is actually quite fascinating. I've learned a ton of stuff around sleep, what's carcinogenic, ice bathing, learning, entrepreneurship, like you name it. There are some amazing topics on there. The eighth person you want to be, people group you want to be following on LinkedIn is your competition's company pages, right? So who are your competitors? Who are the major agencies, minor agencies that you come up with day in, day out with your clients when you're advertising, when you're headhunting? Go and follow them, because they will actually give you some pretty big heads up of where they're heading, what they're doing, and it may give you a bit of an edge that you might not have if you weren't keeping an eye out what they're doing. So that's a smart one to have on your radar. 9, now assuming you're a specialist, most people are, knowing what your market's industry bodies are up to. So let's just say you recruit for these sort of engineers, and knowing what their governing body is up to. So whether that's Engineers Australia or the CPEng or whatever that governing thing might be, or whether you're a doctor, maybe it's the registry for doctors where they have to register to become a doctor. Following those industry bodies is actually quite interesting too, because you get insights as to when conferences are coming up. Again, another great talking point to have with people. hot topics, things that are maybe challenging the industry, maybe legislative changes that may flow through and affect your recruiting as well. It can be really vital, quite critical to whether you succeed or not. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all, but you can see within the web of things you're following, it could help create a picture and a narrative that may help you on your desk. So that's number 9. Number 10, and I'll be super silly not to say this one, but last and certainly not least, you should be following the Lone Recruiter podcast. I know, I've never done a plug like that before, but here I am, I'm doing it. If you haven't followed the Lone Recruiter podcast on LinkedIn, do it now. Just go into your app, LinkedIn, follow. Because what we do is, you might not get to all these episodes, but what we do is we cut them up, and every day there is a new cut up version of this podcast on the feed. So it'll be 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It won't be long. It's bite-sized, but it might just be those little bits of brain food that get you going or spark an idea, because I'm not silly. No one's listening to this stuff every day. Some people are, but like a lot of recruiters, we've got no time. So that's what the feed is good for. And if you can curate your feed to incorporate nuggets of gold, like from the Lone Recruiter podcast, or from your industry's industry bodies, or your competition's company pages, or TED conferences, or Gary Vaynerchuk, or Greg Savage, or your region's rec-to-rec recruiter, or your LinkedIn customer success manager, or your clients, or your candidates, then hey, all of that's going to go into your brain, and he's going to feed a picture of what you have that's going on in your industry, both with your client, your candidates, and your competitors, and the broad spectrum across the world. And you know what? That will make you a better recruiter. It'll make having conversations a lot easier, and you're going to sound a hell of a lot better on the phone when you're talking about X, Y, Z, when all before you were talking about was AB. So that's it. That's all we have time for you today. I hope you got something out of it. I've already asked you to follow us on LinkedIn, but if you haven't already done it, shame on you. Do it now. I really appreciate it. We want to grow. We are growing. It's speeding up as well, and we're really excited by it. We get great kicks out of it, so keep it going. Can only do it with you guys there. That's all we have time for you today. As always, have an amazing day, and may all your deals come true.